Hello and welcome to I Am Geek, and this is episode 102. I'm so excited. Woo! Woo! Not only because we have a guest with us tonight, but we're on the other side. Last week we talked about sort of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the road to Endgame, and now we're back from the movie, and we're going to talk about Avengers Endgame. I'm Ryan. I'm here with my brother Chris and our good pal Katrin, and we are joined by our favorite guest, right? Your favorite guest, of course, Mr. Ray Chase. I guess it's Mr., not like Dr. Ray Chase.
It's not Mrs.
Mrs.
Definitely not Mrs.
Welcome, Ray. Welcome back to the
But
show.
Doctor would be fine. You can call me Dr. Chase. That's
Dr.
fine.
Chase.
Dr. Chase.
Esquire.
Yes, that is infected. Yeah. Spoilers tonight, right?
Oh, yes.
Lots of spoilers.
Lots of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie,
Just hit pause and listen later.
yeah, hit pause, go to the movie, watch it, and then come out of the movie and then hit play again.
Or
Yeah.
just let's spoil it for you.
Yeah, or just, you know.
Yeah.
Why go pay money when we're giving it to you for free?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Shot by shot, frame by frame.
Get ready. 3 hours long.
Okay, opening, sad song.
Interpretive dance.
Was there a sad song?
A little bit.
Well. Okay, so this is gonna be a spoiler filled episode, but before we get to the spoilers, we want to get this out there to you guys so everybody knows. Comic Palooza is coming up in
Like 9 or 8
8 days? 7 days now or something
Sure.
like that.
7 days by the time
It
this
could have
is
already happened if you're listening to this later. So it's May 10th through the 12th
Mate. Yeah.
in Houston, Comic Palooza, comicpalooza.com. We're going to be there. We are going to be doing at least 4 panels. Maybe
So many panels.
maybe more. We're going to be on the show floor Saturday, May 11th at 11 a.m. So if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, come see us.
Yeah. If you just
Or if you
like,
can't get
I've had
in.
enough of Amelia Clark.
Yeah, because she will be
so
there
over her.
during that same time period in a big room. But it's fine. There's plenty of people that don't like Game of Thrones.
There are people.
Oh yeah, so many.
All 3 of them will be there.
But we will be doing a show from the show floor that will be about sort of phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and where it's going and what we think may happen and what may not happen. So be there, and then we'll be part of some other panels that deal with podcasting. A couple of those, social media panel, May 11th at 6 p.m. and then a podcasting advanced techniques, which at 3 p.m. on Saturday, which I don't know if we're qualified for either one of those. We're going to be a part of it.
Advanced techniques. Wow.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, all my advanced techniques.
This is a microphone. You speaking to it.
Plug it in.
That's what I've been doing wrong.
And then we'll be having our battle royale with cheese, which is basically sort of like a big debate game show type thing. Saturday, May 11th at 7:30 p.m., which will deal with the Star Wars universe there, the two, basically the prequels and the main trilogy. And then on May 12th at 10:30, we will be having originals versus reboots. What's better, an original movie or its reboot? And we'll be battling out with other podcasts. We'll be judging. They'll be battling. We will sit back and laugh and point.
Yeah, we'll break a pool cue apart and hand it to each team and just let them go at it.
We should
It's gonna be a fight.
We should do that.
So, and apparently we're doing it West Side Story style.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or we could like,
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
wouldn't it be funny if there's like we just like placed a broom in the room somewhere, and then when we're like before we get started, and just one of us grabs the broom and just cracks it in half over our knee, and then hands the side of the stick to each side and be like, okay, here's your weapons for this battle.
I will not be doing the breaking. I will break myself.
Well, no, we'll like saw it so it's like, you know, it's ready to break.
Okay. It's pre-broke.
Yeah,
It's a
pre-broke.
stunt broom.
Yeah.
It's a stunt broom.
It's a pro wrestling broom. So, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be like the kendo sticks that are always underneath a wrestling ring.
Yeah, for some reason.
For some reason, they're always there.
What holds up the wrestling ring?
I guess so. Anyways, so that's coming up May 10th through the 12th. If you're there on the 12th, it's my birthday, so I'm sure there'll be a big party.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably not. But,
Bring all the gifts.
Yep.
It's my birthday too. We're
That
birthday
is
buddies.
right.
Oh.
It is.
Wow.
I won't be there though, because I'll be
Oh.
celebrating my birthday
And Mother's Day.
and Mother's. Well,
Thank you,
most of my
mothers.
birthday.
Mostly.
Mostly my birthday.
Doesn't that stink that happens to us?
Yes. Every
Aw.
7 years or so, we have to share.
It's always like, oh, it's Mother's Day. And Ryan's
Yes, it's-
birthday.
Well, mine lands on Thanksgiving, so.
Mine is the day
Everybody's-
before Valentine's Day.
Really?
There we go.
Man.
Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to steal you.
Oh, no, you're fine.
You get like turkey and dressing and pies and stuff on yours.
Yeah,
Chris.
but I usually want like a pizza party, and like, no, you don't get a pizza party. You eat
You
turkey.
get turkey.
You could have a turkey pizza, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Chris is getting the worst deal here.
Oh well.
But you get a parade on your birthday.
Yeah, you get a parade.
Yeah, I get a
It's kind
parade.
of nice.
You know?
I get a trip to Piccadilly or wherever Mom wants to go to eat.
Yeah,
Birthday, Mom.
that's home cooking right there.
Somebody's cooking home.
Somebody's home. Yeah.
If you're not familiar with Piccadilly, it's an old cafeteria.
There's still some around.
I
We
guess,
have
yeah.
some in Memphis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's where all the old people go. I'm assuming.
3 o'clock, time for dinner.
But anyways, so that's that. And then yeah. Come to Comic Palooza. We'll take you to Piccadilly.
Yay, come on.
Anyways, so now I think we should just dive right in. I mean, we got 3 hours that we've got to cover here.
Yeah.
3 hours, 5 minutes.
Yeah, 3 hours,
Oh.
5 minutes. My wife went, I went on one day, and then, because we don't have a babysitter right now, and then, so I went, and then the next day she went, so we didn't get to go together. But she, I told her, I was like, there are no bathroom breaks. Like, there's not a part of the movie where you could be like, oh, I'll take a bathroom break here. Because it's just like, go, 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 go. There's not like a, well,
according
according
to the Run, no, not that. According to the Run P app, there are a few places where you could go, and the nice thing about that app, I didn't try this, but I read something about it. It said that when you, it tells you when to go, and when you go, you can read in the app what you're missing at that point. So the synopsis of what's going on during that time that you're going to go pee.
or
So
be
You
a
read
man,
while you're peeing?
or be a man and hold it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't drink a whole lot while I was in the movie. So
Well,
I don't have to
I
go.
have like some stomach problems, and about
Yeah.
midway through the movie, my stomach was going, "It's time to go."
Brr.
Yeah, it was making
Or
noises.
you bring an
everything.
empty milk jug
Yeah,
like I did, and you just fill it up.
Oh,
that's
Oh.
what the sports stadium pals for, the strapped to your leg.
stadium.
They make adult diapers for a reason, fellas.
That's right.
Here's
Just
what I
double it up.
Here's what I don't understand. And then somebody made this point in a video I watched, and they said, "Why don't they have intermissions anymore?" It seems like a win-win for everybody, right? Because the concession stand gets people to come to the concession stand. People get to have a break and talk about, "Hey, what do you think of the movie so far? How's it going?" You know, and go use the bathroom, have a
Because that
have a
takes
break.
up time that they could be showing another movie, because it all adds
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
You know, at the movie theaters here in Memphis, they during the day after 2:00, they used all of the auditoriums or theaters, we even call in a building, for Endgame. Like, there were some people that I talked to that said, we wanted to go watch whatever movie's out that's not Endgame, and they said it wasn't even playing because they stopped showing it at 2:00 in the afternoon,
'Cause they
so that they
knew.
could show Endgame in the whole theater, you know, a whole whatever
That's
complex.
saw a picture of a couple guys, and it was like, and they took a picture where they're at, and it was like, perfect time to see Shazam, and it was the only two of them in there. It was empty.
Well, my stomach started hurting and it needed to go, and I told it no. I said no.
No, you will not.
Yeah, I took a
Avenge the
stomach
fallen.
pill.
Yeah.
Took a
Did
stomach
you really?
because my stomach gets upset at times, and like I went to a theater where you eat, like they like serve you a meal, and I got something, and I was eating it, and after I ate it, I felt a movement,
Yeah.
and I was like, no.
No.
I'm taking the pill.
I didn't have a pill. I just clenched. But my wife,
My wife.
she, I told her, I was like, there's not really a place that I think you should experience the whole movie, because I didn't want to have to explain stuff later. She said, I waited, and I had to go, and I looked at my clock, or at my watch, and I knew that there was, because you said it was like 3 hours, there was time left, so I wasn't going to miss much. So she went to the bathroom and came back, and it was after Captain America came back at the end.
Oh,
So she missed that whole scene talking about what happened and stuff. She's like, and then it was over.
Then it was so. Yeah.
But when I went, I'm one of the weird ones. Even if there's not something, I like to watch. I stay through the credits.
So did we.
And
we did too.
Yeah, and
I
I
did.
sat to stay through the credits, and the lights came up, the screen went off as soon as the credits started. And I was like, what the heck? And people were like getting up and leaving. And then some people were like, but this is a Marvel movie. We have to stay through the credits. I'm like, what is going on?
Well, there was clanging. There was the Iron Man clanging of
the lights went up,
Yeah.
and then the lights went back off, total darkness, nothing on the screen, and we all walk out, and there was a power outage. Shut down the whole theater. And so they gave us rain check tickets. I'm like,
And the movie was over?
Yeah, the movie was
Yeah,
over.
that's crazy.
What?
Well, they were giving
Only
rain
to
check.
Ryan.
They were giving rain check tickets out to everyone that was walking out. So I was like, I'll take one. I didn't get to see the
I'll
credits.
see it again.
I did miss the credits after all.
I had nothing in there. That was the only spoiler I heard, was that there was nothing in the credits. So as soon as it started, I got up and everybody's just like looking at me. Like I was a crazy
Chris
person.
texted me. He was like,
I texted Ray. I was like, because Jenny had heard there wasn't anything. And I was like, I don't know if I can trust this. So yeah, I texted Ray, and he's like, yeah, there's some clanging at the end. That's it. We stayed anyway, but
So
I always like to look to see if I see anybody that I know. But these are so packed together, it's like you can't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was like looking at a word jumble.
I'm sure what's his name's name was on there. He was on the show for
Buck.
Buck. I'm sure Buck was on there somewhere.
Yeah. Stephen Buckley was up there somewhere. I just didn't see it because it's just a big blur of names.
Right. Letters.
Yeah.
I think I see my name in there.
Piece all this together. There's me.
I did good work.
Anyways, so I guess we'll start from the beginning instead of starting at the end, working our way back. That'd be weird. So
then we all left.
Yeah.
And then we all left.
So after all the trailers and everything, it opens with the Hawkeyes or Clint's farm, which I thought I liked it, but I was not what I was expecting at all. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was not expecting it to open with that. I thought it was a cool way to open it.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting it, but as soon as I saw it, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
No. Oh,
yeah,
no.
I did the same thing. I was like, oh no. Really? It's like the first minute, and you're going to get me like tearing up in here. Because when he was like, I forget his daughter's name.
Well, he called her Hawkeye.
Yeah, but then he said her name. He's like, he was saying her name, like, where are you? Where are you? And then I'm just like, no.
Dusty? Dusty.
Yeah. Oh no! And you saw the dust and the ash fly by, and you're like, no. Which you knew that was going to happen, but
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
he didn't turn around and blew in his face or something and start coughing. Where did that come from?
Sneezed.
yeah.
Honey,
So
there's a sandstorm or something. It's
Oh.
weird.
Someone
Honey?
check the fire pit. I don't know what that. Bacon?
fake. Wow. So yeah, so that opens the movie and sort of sets the tone for the first part of it, anyways. And then I saw it on the XD screen, which is, I guess, a step down from IMAX.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's called XD. It was a huge screen.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's huge. But so visually, just the movie was, great. Anyway, so we go from there to I had it pulled up here, the whole plot.
I saw it from the first row on the corner.
Oh no!
It was so
wow.
bad. It was the last seat available, and I was like, "This is the only time I'm gonna be able to see this, so I better just do it." And it was hard to follow it. And they're like, "Really? It was hard to follow?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm right there in front of it." And oh, okay. I was telling them about it, and I just didn't get what I meant by hard to track it.
It sounds
to
like
watch
you
it.
need to see the movie again.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
I got a rain check if you want to come with me. So basically, it goes back to Captain America, Black Widow, right?
It went to space, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it
I
jumped
don't
out
remember.
to
Yeah, it jumped up
the Milano.
Yeah, to Tony.
Oh
and,
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, the which we thought, maybe he'd be in space a little longer, but that scene pretty much was the next scene and brought him back.
Yeah, well, if you notice, like in the trailer, his face looks a little kind of like gaunt, kind of ragged a little bit in the trailer, but in the movie, they had digitally made it to where it's like he was much thinner, like he had lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But they had a fun scene between him and not Gamora,
Nebula.
playing the football game.
Yeah.
The paper football game.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was a fun little scene. That's kind of funny. It was a nice kind of levity after the death of a family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to remind you, a lot of people are dead. So let's show you some more dead people.
But hey, here's Tony Stark making jokes.
Oh, Tony.
So yeah, but it ends where that scene where sort of transitions into basically he's closing his eyes for his last sleep, pretty much. And that's it. He's going off into eternity or whatever. But a strange but familiar glow starts to appear in front of him, and there's Captain Marvel. She's there.
She had a movie. Now she's here.
Yeah.
So
Here for a little bit.
So this scene, I'm guessing, when at the end of Captain Marvel, when she goes, "Where's Fury?" They go, "Well, we need you to go get Tony first."
Yeah, I
I
got
guess they
a feeling that was like an alternate sort of opening or something, maybe to the movie where they had the beeper and she shows up because it's almost like the way they portrayed it in Endgame. You could almost assume that she was just kind of flying by, kind of like the Guardians were when they ran into Thor, conveniently. But yeah, I mean, thinking about it later, I think that end scene in Captain Marvel was probably something they were beating around in their heads in terms of an opening moment in this movie.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really makes sense as to why she finds him and is like, "Oh, I need to bring this guy back to Earth." That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because I don't think she'd be flying by and be like, "Oh, there's a ship. I bet that guy needs to go back to Earth."
Yeah, it was kind of confusing to me. Like, how would she know where to go? Because no one would have known where he went.
Right.
He didn't send a communication like, "Hey, I'm going to Thanos' planet."
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess maybe he sent out a distress call at some point, but they didn't really say that. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure
yeah.
they was in some logs or something from
Sure.
Infinity War.
Captain's log.
Maybe they watched Infinity War and they're like, "Oh, that's
where he is.
There's
just
where he's at.
one of Captain Marvel's many powers.
yeah."
many unexplainable powers.
Oh.
I like Brie Larson, but there's definitely a Captain Marvel problem. Like they don't know what to do with her.
Yeah.
And that was definitely like forefront in the movie.
Yeah.
She's way too powerful. We don't know what to do with her, and they just kind of sidelined her for most of it.
Yeah.
To the point that I forgot about her. Like I completely forgot she was in the movie until later, until she showed up again.
They did.
And I think
job.
that's the thing. They could have taken her out completely and given her scenes, especially at the end. Those scenes could have been somebody else. And I feel like part of the problem is she was definitely shoehorned in or bookend into the movie. She was at the beginning, she was at the end, and she was just gone in the middle. And I think one of the reasons why, at least for me, I didn't really connect with her being there, and it felt like she was just kind of tacked on, was because she did just have her first standalone movie. And then, boop, she's with the Avengers. And it's kind of like with the other guys, like with like Ant-Man, he shows up in Civil War. He's been kind of smattered in like here and there. So when he shows up and he's kind of with them on the journey in this film, you get it and you buy it because there's a little bit of a rapport there, and there's some interaction that they've had in the past. With her, it's kind of like, where did you come from? And now we're just all like hanging out and being buddies, and I'm going to go away, but I'll be back. The universe needs me. Well, we kind of have a big problem. There's a big purple titan on our planet. Could you maybe come back and help us? Yeah, so I don't know.
She didn't know that, though. She didn't know that he came back when he did.
No.
But they could have brought her back to retrieve the stones.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of with that was that they only had so many pin particles.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so they could only send so many people, but they could have at least said a line like, yeah, we're leaving you behind to kind of watch over stuff while we're doing this.
Yeah, totally. Kind of protect Earth while we're, in the quantum realm.
I sort of just, put that aside. I was like, okay, it is what it is. My only thing was like, by the end of Captain Marvel, the movie, she had sort of got her human side back, her emotions, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like in this movie, those were all gone again, and she was back to being the person she was at the beginning of the Captain Marvel movie, where she was all like hard nosed and like, I don't care, I'm just going to go do whatever I want to.
Yeah.
She sort of lost the emotions for this movie that she got by the end of the last movie. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think if that movie had happened 5 years ago or 3 years ago, then it would make sense to maybe, it would make more sense. But since it just happened a couple months ago, that sort of threw it off a little bit.
Well, I was reading that I think she shot her scenes for Endgame before they did Captain Marvel. So I don't know if they started to tweak her character a little bit while they were shooting her standalone film.
Maybe so. That's true. I did see that. Yeah, I saw an interview with her, and she said that she got a role. She didn't know what it was. They flew her to where it was, and she walked in, and they're like, we need you to stand here and say, where's Fury? And she's like, what? And she's like, okay, like, what do you mean? Is he, like, where is he at in the room? Is he in the building? Is he not here? Is he dead? What do you mean? And then so they're back here, just look at this mark, this mark, this mark, and say that. And so she didn't even know she was Captain Marvel when she first started it. Yeah.
Wow. Secrecy was hardcore in that
film. They're just like, where's Fury? And so she did that
I made
scene.
a whole movie. I didn't know what's going on.
Well, I mean, that was basically the first thing they gave her to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like green screen, and they said, look here, and look here. Mm-hmm. She's like, who am I looking at? Like, what am I looking at? And they're like, just say the line. And she's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if they had introduced her into the MCU a little bit earlier, maybe she even had like a cameo, like in Guardians 2 or something, so that we've seen her a couple times. We know her a little bit. I mean, I still don't even know what her weaknesses are. I mean, it seems like she's just invulnerable. Yeah. She can like blow up anything, and she's super strong, and she's like Superman without the kryptonite. And it's sort of like, maybe the Avengers should just sit down and let you just do everything. But then like Thanos like knocks her like into next week, and it's like, where did that come from? Because
Yeah.
you're blowing up ships with your body.
Well, it seemed like for that, like like when he blew her back, he used just the Power Stone to do it, so I could see that.
Yeah.
But it was like they were like 1-on-1 and evenly matched before he did that, and that was for me like, no, she should be able to like pound him away because she's like blown whole ships up and everything by herself.
I did like how she was bending his fingers back. That was just like,
yeah,
that's so cool. She was like, I'm
Ouch.
just gonna bend each one of your fingers back. But
Yeah,
I mean,
think
they wanted you to believe, like the average moviegoer, that Thanos is unstoppable, and they wanted that false, sort of put that in there. So when he does get defeated, he gets defeated when he has all the stones. But yeah, so Captain Marvel, it was okay. Like I thought it was okay, but if it had happened, if her movie had happened earlier, it would have made it better.
Well, when the movie came out, I mean, we all thought that she was going to be the answer to how this was all going to go down in this movie, and like she was going to have a big part because they just had this movie, and you're like, oh, it's going to be this big, and then like I said, she disappears and comes back with I want to see your manager haircut, and you're just like, what is happening here? Why did she leave? Well, she said why she left. She's helping her people or
I want
whatever.
to see
but
her manager.
We saw that today. There was it was a meme kind of thing, and it was like it showed her at different stages or something. And the last one said, "I want to see your manager." I don't remember what it said, but it's funny. But yeah, I don't. She was just like I said, kind of standoffish and not unapproachable. So it's kind of disheartening to see that, 'cause she was like, "Oh, I liked her in the other movie."
Yeah,
but
she's seen some things, I guess.
I guess
because that was in the '90s, so she's seen some things.
But like I said, it explains it because they did film that before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Whatever. So after that, they get Tony back. He goes off on Captain America pretty much. So they I was hoping they would give a hug or something, but no, they're still not friends.
He yells and collapses.
Yes. And from there, you may have to remind me where it goes. That's when that's when they basically accept her as part of the team, right?
Yeah, and she starts to walk off. They're like, "Where are you going?" She's like, "I'm going to go kill Thanos."
Yeah.
Well, hey, take me with you. Let's all go kill Thanos.
Well, we don't know where he is.
So they find him because he basically uses the stones again and causes this energy signature that they could track.
Right.
And then and Nebula says that this is where he's going to be anyways, at the garden. Which there was a lot of religious elements put in to this movie and Infinity War, but another time.
So he used the gauntlet and the stones to create the planet, which we saw at the end of Infinity War, right?
No. I don't think he created the planet. I think that was just the place that he
This
chose to retire.
is his vacation home he found.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought they were saying like he maybe I misunderstood that he used them to sort of create this Eden, this paradise for himself.
Well, in the sense that he took out half of the planet, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll have to rewatch it. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah. Just like
it
that.
was 3 hours long. It was a lot of information.
Yeah. But so that's the place that Nebula says that's what he always talks about. This is where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
His vacation home or whatever. To be a farmer, farm the land.
Just timeshare.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting scene. That this was the first scene where I Which I think it gave permission for other people to yell out because it was quiet, and I'm like, "Oh yeah!" And other people started yelling too and stuff. But so basically, she smashes in, pins him down, and then the rest of them come in, and he basically tells them because they're asking for the stones, and he's like, "I destroyed them. That's what you saw happen."
Yeah. Well, it was great. Like they all pin him down, and you see his fist, like he's going to close his fist or something with the gauntlet.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, Thor just bursts through and just hacks off his arm.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah.
Why couldn't you do that in the first movie?
Yeah.
Well, he had to learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, learn from his mistakes. So they chop off his arm, and which at this point I'm still like, oh, so basically we're going to have Thanos with one arm for the rest of the movie, or what's going to happen? Because I figured something was going to happen to keep him around. Because I didn't think that they're going to introduce a new bad guy. Like I don't think that's going to happen. This is a 3-hour movie. Because if they introduce a new bad guy, I'm just going to be like, no. So basically, chop his arm off. He goes through his whole plan, like villains do, tell you the whole plan, and then Nebula. What did she say? She said something.
He says he's not lying. Like he says he destroyed the stones, and they're like, "You're lying," and Nebula's like, "No, he doesn't lie."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, daughter, blah blah blah. Should have loved you more."
And then whoop, and Thor comes back in and cuts his head off.
Yep.
Game of Thrones style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rocket's like, "What did you do?"
And I'm like, yes.
I went for the head.
Yeah. And but the way Thor walks out of that scene was sort of telling of where his character was going to go. Because he sort of walked out, sort of slumped over, like, yes, I cut off his head, but it's too late.
Yeah.
And I messed up. I failed. And he leaves that scene. And then at this point, we flash to 5 years later.
No, we flash to 5 years later.
Yeah, that was.
I was like, oh wow, we're getting like really dramatic here.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
How about just 5 years later?
For some of us that are slow readers, that helped out a lot.
Sound out the first word.
5. What's coming up next?
They're going too fast.
5. What's it gonna say next? What's it gonna say next? Years
ago.
There's another word.
Yeah. And now 5 years later, the world is a post-apocalyptic video game. Pretty much is what it looked like to me.
People didn't know where to park their cars, so they just put them at the stadium.
Yeah, because it's like what was that game? There's a video game that it looked just like the video game. Someone help me out here, listeners. Call in.
You know the answer.
I just thought it was that Will Smith movie where he's the only one left.
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
The bad guy, or the creatures in the video game look like the creatures from Stranger Things before there was Stranger Things.
Oh, like not Resident Evil.
No.
No. I don't know.
Oh,
what was that one game that had the?
Oh, this is gonna drive me crazy now.
Yeah, Resident Evil had those.
No, but no, that's not the game I'm thinking of.
All right.
Some listeners screaming at
yeah.
I know. You idiots.
Yeah.
Wow.
5
years later.
Yeah. Captain America pretty much is taking over for Falcon, like doing the support group. So it almost seemed like Captain America had retired from superheroing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed that way. Like Widow was sort of running the Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the crisis manager.
Well, and the people in that little group knew that he was Captain America. It seems.
Yeah, seemed like it. Which one of the people in the group was one of the directors.
Yeah.
But the guy that does the most talking, that was the director. And then another guy who was bald, had like a little bit of a beard, like a white beard. That was the creator of Thanos.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I saw an interview with him that was very interesting. We can talk about he was talking about developing that character, making that character, and how it started off. He was like this little scrawny, skinny guy, Thanos was, and his plans were different. And the editors basically said, "Beef him up, make him look like a big, Hulk." And so he did, because originally it started out as this, this scrawny dude. And The Last of Us. That's the game I was thinking of.
Oh.
The Last of Us.
Whew, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So relieved.
which is interesting. The title sort of goes with the movie. It's The Last of. And he was talking about. They asked him what he thought of Endgame, like the final product, and what it had done to his character. And he said, he goes, "Oh, I thought it was perfect." He goes, "Originally, my character was the reason that he did it was because of death. His obsession was with death, and that." They came to me when they were going to do Thanos and said, this is why we're doing it this way instead of with death. And he goes, so I understood that. Basically, that at that time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they didn't want to deal with the sort of, because this was before Doctor Strange, sort of the mystical, religious.
Giving like an entity like that an actual being.
Yeah, they didn't want to deal with that. So that's why they went this route. But then he said something that, a little spoilish, but not really. He goes, but that's going to all change with the next two Doctor Strange movies. And then he just went on talking like that was just common knowledge.
Well, I feel like the MCU in general has gotten more into space and mystical and magic. If you think about the world, and I think there's a line even in there that Stark says, if you had told me 10 years ago, the things that I've witnessed and the things I've seen and experienced, because when they did Iron Man was, sort of grounded in reality, we'll say. But by the time but now, I mean, his armor's magic, and it can, it's made of little teeny metal things that can become anything your heart desires. And there's aliens, and there's mystical things, and unicorns, and so forth. So it's like, wow, we have really gone the other end of the spectrum. So, but
I must have missed the unicorn.
Yeah, you missed.
So just look at the show Shield, like the Shield show. Like, I mean, that's just like that spans everything now. Like, that was more grounded. And then, they went to space in the future and deal with aliens.
Oh, totally, yeah. But I think they've done it in a way on S.H.I.E.L.D. and also in the MCU in a way that doesn't feel jarring, like they've completely changed the rules of the world. It's just they've kind of inched it up a little bit. They had Thor and they had Asgard, and it's like, what, this? This guy from another dimension who's a god and whatnot. And then they just, kind of kept going and notching it up with like Guardians, and now with Doctor Strange. So I think they're kind of priming the universe for the Eternals and everywhere the planet going that's not on Earth and beyond. So
So we'll fast forward a little bit here. Scott Lang comes back because of a rat, basically.
Yep.
A conveniently placed rat.
Yeah, it runs across a little.
All those 14 million different futures that Dr. Strange saw the one where a rat went across the computer screen.
It hit all the right buttons in all the right order.
Yep.
And apparently on the number sequence it hits is like 616, which is the Marvel Universe number. Like that's their universe number in the comics. It's like Universe 616. That's it.
Please tell me you read that and didn't notice that.
Yeah, I read it. I read things.
Nerd.
Oh my gosh, he pressed 616. Did you see that?
He stood up in the theater.
Jenny,
around. Did
you see it? Hey, everybody, rewind.
Did you see what that rat did?
So he comes back. Everybody thought that he was part of the snap too, but he comes back. Everybody's surprised, and then they get into the whole time travel theory that this could basically fix everything. Which they go see Tony Stark, and he says no.
Because Tony has a family now. He has a little daughter called Morgan.
Which in the comics, see, I'm going to use in the comics, Morgan Stark is actually another relative of his that's trying to take over Stark Industries, right?
Yes, he is Tony's cousin, who's very jealous of him and has like tried to take over the company several times.
So they changed him into a little girl.
Yep. Entered Flashpoint, and he became a little girl.
Yep. Oh, anyways, that's DC. So he's got a family, so he doesn't really want to mess things up for him, which means the other people can just
suck it.
Yeah, suck it. Let's go away. But it turns out that he's actually been working on time travel, and he ends up figuring it out. But they go find Hulk, and Hulk has in the last 5 years has figured out a way to be Brent Banner and Hulk at the same time, keeping the best of both worlds, just like Hannah Montana. So,
he's a Hannah Montana.
I want a Hannah Montana like opening song sequence that's got the Hulk replacing like all the Hannah Montana. It's got the best of both worlds. It's sad that I remember that song.
Yeah, so you're making fun of me for the 616, and you're singing Hannah Montana. So,
anyways, so he's got the best of both worlds, and everybody loves the Hulk now, and they want their picture taken with them.
Yeah,
nobody wants their picture taken with Ant-Man.
Yeah. No, Professor Hulk.
Which was funny because Captain America was sitting there too.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wanted their picture taken with Captain America, but they wanted a picture taken with Hulk.
Well, he was a fugitive for a while. So.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
And plus he's in all the school documentary school like videos.
Yeah,
he's like a teacher parent to them. They don't want it. It's not cool to be seen with them.
Kids are sick of Captain America.
Yeah.
So they get square. So they get Hulk to help or Banner to help them with time travel, which doesn't go really that well. What did you guys think of the scene where Scott keeps coming back as a baby and an old man?
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
The line though is like, I've peed my pants or pooped my pants or something like that. And I don't know if it was the young me or the old me.
Yeah.
Or just Mimi.
Or just Mimi.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed when they were talking about time travel and they were referring to time travel movies. And I love that they mentioned Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Because I used to love watching Quantum Leap. I love that they mentioned Quantum Leap. They mentioned Bill and Ted. Back to the Future, of course. Terminator. I mean,
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Hot Tub, yeah.
Which Sebastian Stan was in apparently. So that
how funny.
Really messes it up.
So basically, they say all those movies that they've seen, and it's cool that all those movies exist in that world. They've seen them. Doesn't actually know how time travel works, and what they do in the past won't affect the future.
Yeah,
so it creates different timelines.
Yeah,
basically it fractures time and makes an alternate timeline that they can use for all their other projects.
Yeah. Yes. Which I've got a question about that we can say to the end, something that happens at the end. I've got a big question about that.
Okay.
How that works, and you could probably explain it to me.
Sure.
Not like I hate to do this. Just like I'm confused. Like, how does that happen? So they do all that, and then Tony comes back, and they figure it all out, and they go, "Let's get the team back together," and they go to find Thor.
I love this.
Which we find out that Thor is rocking the dad bod. He's let himself go.
Yeah. So at the end of the movie, there's a woman that was walking out, and I heard her say, "Yeah, that's why I come to these movies." and another guy was, and the usher was like, "For what?" She's like, "For Thor's like 6-pack. I didn't get to see it in this one."
It was a family pack.
The funniest thing I read on social media, I don't know if it was Facebook, it may have been Facebook, or somebody posted that they went, and when Dad Bod Thor came out, their wife, who was sitting right beside them, went, "Ugh." And he looked down at himself, and he goes, "I guess I know what she thinks of me now."
Aww.
But I thought that was sort of genius, that basically You know, he just because he was. I mean, I'm glad that they didn't like show up and he's sitting there like, "Hey guys, come on in." You know, I'm glad that he's like still battling with this. It's my fault that this happened.
Yeah.
Turned into the dude.
Yeah, the dude abides. The Thor abides.
And I loved Korg was there and Meek was there.
Oh, yes.
He's playing the video game.
It's like, hey, the guy's all, hey, he's kids on here again. He's making fun of me.
Yeah, so it's a great scene. And then of course, we see Valkyrie. She's there, which just, you know, I loved her character in Ragnarok, so I'm glad they brought her back. Yeah. And so they convince him to come back with them to go on this time heist, as Ant-Man calls it.
Because they say the ship has beer, and he's like, what kind of beer?
Yeah. Chris just remembers every detail.
I remember it all. I remember like the Hulk and Rocket going in there on the truck, and the truck's riding really low.
Yep.
Scraping around. I remember it all.
616.
616.
So I'm just skipping over some stuff because I don't really want to sit here for 3 hours. So they divide up in teams. They have these little devices that will make them not age or get messed up to wear, but they only have enough pin particles to go there and back for the group.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Which I was thinking, well, why don't they go back and get more pin particles if they're time traveling? But then they figured that out.
They figured that out.
But of course, that should have been the first thing he did.
And I was like, before when they divided up into teams, I was thinking to myself, before the stuff happens, I was like, if it was me, I would not send Nebula. I would do it because I don't think I could trust her still.
Yeah.
And like she doesn't mean to, but she messes up a lot of stuff.
Well, in their defense, they don't really know her past. All that.
Yeah.
I mean, Rocket knows.
Well, Rocket knows. Rocket's kind of like, whatever. I'm going with Thor, dad bod.
Yeah. Yeah, one of them had to go because they know sort of the planet and the universe and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I know. So, but I'm just sitting there going, I don't think this is going to end well. And of course it doesn't, because when she's in that time period with Nebula, her other self, basically, they share their basic computer brain.
They're on the same Wi-Fi.
On the same Wi-Fi network.
Which Wi-Fi in space is pretty good. Cause, I mean, they were on different planets pretty much. Got to get some of that. Better than Xfinity, whatever Chris has.
Yeah, I need that Wi-Fi. That's what I need.
Yeah, so all that stuff with Quill, I thought was pretty great.
Yeah.
Kind of seeing, him rocking out, but from an outsider's point of view, who can't hear the music and how ridiculous he looks.
That was so
awesome.
funny.
I was half hoping that Yondu might show up. I was thinking that we might get a glimpse of the Ravagers, but it would have just been.
There is a glimpse. Guy. There's a glimpse of the Ravagers in the big battle scene.
Yes.
In the big battle scene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think Yondu's there, but the Ravagers are there, as well as Howard the Duck, which we can talk about later.
Oh no, I missed that.
Yeah, he's beside the Wasp.
Chris did miss it.
Did you get it, Chris? Did you see Howard?
No, I did not see Howard the Duck. I was staring at the Wasp.
He comes out with the Wasp, I think, and he's got a pistol. He's
pretty small, like in there, but I saw a picture later. I was like, that's great.
Yeah, so that's really cool. Anyways, so where were we? Okay, so they all go their separate ways because they've realized that there's 3 Infinity Stones in New York in the year 2012, which is when the original Avengers happened. So we get to experience that over again. They go.
Well, they're all kind of dressed a little bit like what they would be dressed as then, and like Hulk Banner takes off his shirt, and they're like, "Yeah, you may want to just smash some things along the way to blend in. You're just walking down the street going,
It just feels gratuitous.
Yeah. But it was cool because we're seeing sort of the, we're seeing another vantage point of scenes that we saw in the movie. So when they have Loki captured, we see S.H.I.E.L.D. come in, which we know now pretty much it was Hydra, it wasn't S.H.I.E.L.D., which led to one of my favorite scenes of the movie. When Captain America goes to get the staff that has the one of the stones, the Yellowstone, the Mind Stone in it. The doors open to the elevator, and he walks in, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna say it? Is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say, if anybody would like to get out, now's the time?" But no, he doesn't say it because I thought the fight was gonna happen again, and he was just gonna.
I know they were
the
staging
room.
it exactly the same.
All the same people.
Yeah, it was great. Crossbones was back, which I've got a special place in my heart.
Character.
Coming up soon for Comic Palooza. But he says, I need to take it. The director has told me to take it, or whatever, secretary or whatever his name is. They're like, no, and he goes, it's okay, Hell Hydra. And they're like, everybody in the elevator's like, oh, he's one of us.
I think I audibly screamed out a laugh because I thought it was brilliant. It was sort of thumbing their nose at what they did in the comics, which was kind of pissed everybody off at the time. But also it worked out perfectly because he has that inside knowledge. Yeah. So it was just super, super brilliant.
Walked right away with it.
Walked right out. It's so funny. Kill Hydra.
And at that point, an alternate timeline was created.
Yeah. So many alternate timelines were created throughout them going in the past. I love that they pulled actors back, like all these little cameos.
Yeah.
Like Robert Redford was there playing his character again. When Stark and Ant-Man were trying to get the cube, the cosmic cube, they give Stark a brief heart attack. That was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, which is foreshadowing to what's going to happen later in the movie. They foreshadowed his demise. Anyways, what?
Spoilers!
Oh wait, we've already said spoilers. I can say whatever I want to.
That's true.
All spoilers.
Which I had a friend that texted me today and said, "I just want you to know this is what just happened to me." I asked, it's a family that we know, and it was the mom, and she was like, I asked this lady that I know. She said that she took her son to see Avengers, and I said, "Oh, was it good?" And she goes, "Well, Tony Stark dies," and she's like, "What? Really?"
He punched her in the throat.
That's what I said. I think they should bring back public shaming,
flogging,
yeah,
flogging,
or a tattooed spoiler on their head or something.
Well, that's why I stayed off social media.
I did
pretty
too.
much starting Thursday. I was just like, "Yep, I'm off. I'm done."
Yeah. I think I may start a Wednesday. I just cut everything off.
Yeah.
So that was a big spoiler there, but I just gave away now. But you should be listening to this if you didn't know that.
So when you see Ryan at Comic Palooza, do not come up and punch him. Don't do it.
Well, you shouldn't be listening to this because we've already put away half the movie.
Exactly. We gave warnings.
Yeah. So they get pretty much all the stones except for one where the Tesseract gets pulled. Loki disappears with the Tesseract, so that means that Loki is still out there somewhere.
Yep. Well, a version of Loki.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
Which could possibly be where his TV series goes. It could be.
They set up all those TV series in this movie pretty much.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah.
They set them up pretty good. Which I'm wondering if one of those TV shows' name is going to change. The first name was a fake out.
The Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I wonder if that
I would almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
That name's a fake out, and it's going to be Cap and Bucky or something like that, which would be cool. If it was called Cap and Bucky or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Better than WandaVision.
WandaVision.
Yeah.
Well, that's just that means Vision's coming back somehow too.
Yeah, but it's still a horrible name.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I like
Wonka-
watching.
it's like
I like
Wonka
watching
Vision.
stuff in WandaVision. It's a nice red tint. You know, it's like the old Nintendo Virtue Boy. It's really cool. Anyway, so they decide that they have to go back to the 1970s to get more pin particles and to get the Tesseract all in one fell swoop. Which it's just funny that they just, oh yeah, remember? They were both there at the same time. Remember that?
Yeah.
I see that my guess on that was that I think that was maybe the day that Tony was born. That might have been his birthday.
It could be.
Because
Yeah,
there was interaction when he goes back and he meets his dad and they're kind of like walking out together, and Howard Stark is telling Howard Potts, aka Tony, his wife's expecting, and it sounded like it was like any day now he was going to be a father, like at any moment it was going to happen. So I was thinking afterwards, I was wondering, I wonder if that's that was his birthday. And, maybe he had told him stories, yeah, I was at work and I've been doing all this research, yada, 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 on the day you were born. And maybe that's why he knew that's where this stuff was going to be.
Maybe so. Yeah.
And you got to see young Hank Pym again, and he had the original Ant-Man helmet.
Yeah.
On his desk.
Yeah.
That was great.
Peggy Carter was there.
Peggy Carter, yeah.
And Jarvis. From Peggy
and
Carter.
Jarvis, yes.
Well, the Peggy Carter show from the Agent Carter show. Yeah, I got that too. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
I was like,
yeah, I loved that.
That's cool. And somebody when I watched the Kevin Smith, if you haven't watched the Kevin Smith video on it, he does a good job. But I guess, he was going so frantically he forgot stuff. He was like, yeah, we finally get to see Jarvis, and I'm like, no, we saw her in Agent Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already seen Jarvis.
Jarvis.
Yeah. The cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shake their tiny fists. We never got screen time.
Coulson's like, I could have been in the past somewhere.
So, he was in Captain Marvel, so he got his. So they get everything with pretty much little to no problem.
Except for the.
I meant there in the 70s.
Oh, in the 70s. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Pretty much, they get the pin particles in there. They get the Tesseract. Pretty much, not much of a problem. They get back, and then while this is happening, Banner goes after the Time Stone, and they think Doctor Strange has it, which he does not have it yet. He's doing surgery on the other side of the city at that time.
Yes.
And he gets shot out of his body, like we saw in Doctor Strange, by
the Ancient One.
And she says that, no, you can't have it. Because Doctor Strange is going to, hasn't come along yet. But she already knows about Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
So she can see into the future?
She has visions and stuff, I think. Like she seems to know some occurrence, because if you remember Doctor Strange, she could only see up to a certain moment, and then she couldn't see beyond it, and so she figured that moment was her death.
Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense.
She has WandaVision.
Yeah.
She has WandaVision. But yeah, I like that scene. That was fun. And it showed because people were wondering during the Battle of New York, where were all the magicians and everything? And it showed it like they were protecting the city, just on
sanctum,
the place.
Yeah. So, and basically, he says that Doctor Strange said this is the only way, and that he gave up the stone. And she's like, "Oh, well, in that case, here, you can have it." And they talked about the timelines, how it could make different timelines, and so it has to be brought back to that exact moment, which is another thing that we can talk about when we get to that part that sort of is confusing. How does, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was my one thing with the movie, was that, I love time travel films, and on one hand I was kind of like, oh, we're doing time travel. Okay, I guess that's cool. But but then trying to keep up with sort of the rules they were putting in place because yeah, it seemed like
They broke the rules, basically.
anything
right?
that they do, well, it seemed like
Yeah.
there was like two things going on. It was like, one, anything that they did in the past would not affect their future, but would create alternate realities or
Yeah.
alternate timelines. So they explained that, and I was like, okay, I'm with you there. But then the Ancient One is saying that the Infinity Stones must exist in all timelines, because if they don't exist, then her particular alternate reality, like chaos will ensue. I'm like, okay, but in the main timeline, Thanos has destroyed all the Infinity Stones. So why hasn't the universe exploded? Because, you know, the Infinity Stones are holding the universe together, regardless of what timeline they exist in. So I was like, all right, well, that just seems. And then I was sitting there trying to figure this out, like how this was all working in the movie. And then I was just like, okay, just
Yeah.
forget it. Just forget it and you go with it. Okay, yes, you got to return all the stones. And, you know, you can talk to your mom, Thor, and you can, like, fight yourself, Steve, and, you know, do all this stuff. And it's just going to create branch after branch after branch after branch of crazy and wacky other universes. And we just won't care because it's, you know,
more movies we can make.
it's not affecting the main timeline.
But so how does he? We'll just go ahead and get to that part. So at the end of the movie, because we're like at an hour already, so we're not going to go so many scenes.
So then other things happened, and the movie was ending.
Yeah, but how? Because they say they have to take them back. How does that work? Because he doesn't take back the Tesseract. He doesn't take back the Reality Stone in the form of the ether. He doesn't.
Well,
Doesn't he?
yeah.
I don't think he held a hammer, and that's all he had, and the stone was probably in a pocket.
He had all the stones to take back.
Yeah, but he didn't have them in their forms that they needed to be in, right?
He had like a suitcase, didn't he? Like a
He had like a suitcase. So I mean, apparently they
got them all back.
Got them back in however they needed to.
Some snacks in there, and
yeah.
And how does he get back the Soul Stones? Does he just like go up to Red Skull and be like, "Can I get a refund on this one?" Or
Captain?
Yeah,
I saw see you again.
Yeah, like wouldn't it be a big fight there where he just goes and he goes, "Oh, it's you. Well, here we go." Fisticuffs. Yeah, that's the one that I didn't know how that would work. Like, how does he return the Soul Stone?
I mean, you don't really know how that works exactly. Which I mean,
and that's why there's a Black Widow movie coming out.
Yeah,
I mean, there could definitely be like another movie that's just Captain America and Peggy Carter fighting through time.
With dinosaurs.
Time adventures.
So I read something with the director, and I didn't realize this, but I kind of thought like, Bucky kind of takes it in stride, like when you see him, and and he even points Sam like over to where there's someone sitting. He's just like, over there, go over there. So he seems like apparently he knows something. Like something happened in time that like he apparently met up with Cap at some point and knows what happened. And that could be like their own movie that they're going to do.
But
at some point.
Wouldn't that Captain America not exist in this timeline?
That was another point that they brought up. Like when he went back and married Peggy Carter, that made an alternate timeline. Yeah, so how did he jump from that timeline to our timeline? Well, that could be another movie that they do.
So because I mean, there was stuff too with like Peggy that they never showed her husband. Like, you know, when he met her in the hospital, they never showed the husband. They never mentioned the husband. So it's like, you know, one theory. My immediate thought was, oh, he went back and he always married her, and those kids that she had, the grandkids, the grandniece that he made out with or whatever, they're all related to him, you know. But then reading some stuff like with one of the writers or the directors that said that no, when he went back in time and married Peggy, he lived out a life in an alternate timeline with her. So in the main timeline, Peggy did marry someone else, not Steve Rogers, and all those kids and the great niece that he made out with, thank goodness, was not related to him. But how he gets back to the future, I read one thing that was saying that when he steals the Pym particles, if he lived his life in the alternate reality to one day past when he went back in time for the first time, he could then travel back in time to the day that he actually left and be sitting on the bench. But the thing was with that is it's like, well, wouldn't he be living in an alternate timeline? So if you were in an alternate timeline and you travel back in time, aren't you traveling back in time in that alternate timeline?
Yeah.
Why would you snap back to
timey-wimey?
Why would you snap back to your
kind of
line?
Could be some kind of GPS type coordinate type thing.
I think that was just a more beautiful way to do it. So they're
that's
like,
kind of
put him on
what
the
I
bench.
was thinking too. Yeah, because I mean, it's like a cinematic thing. Because if he came back and he was standing on the pad and he's an old dude and he's got the shield and he's like, yeah, I decided to stay in the past and live a life and da-da-da. Oh, by the way, Sam, here, I brought this for you. And Bucky, I brought you your favorite marbles. And, okay, I didn't forget you, buddy. Got you a T-shirt.
That would make more sense if he appeared on the thing, but the sitting on the bench looked better.
Yes.
Pretty much. Because the way they did the silhouette, first you're thinking, or at least I was thinking, oh gosh, he never got the serum. Like, it's just
Scrawny Steve?
Scrawny Steve. And then they win and they're like, oh no, it's Old Man Steve. Which happened in the comics.
Yeah.
Who's also probably like 108 if he went back to the 1940s and married.
But he's a super soldier, so he'll he can live to
last longer.
Yeah.
He'll be kicking at 120. Just you watch.
Old Man Steve.
So that was the only thing that I was like, okay, well, we'll just let that pass. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
But before all that happened, we have Nebula, the old Nebula from 2014 replaces the Nebula from Endgame, comes back to the past, tricks everybody, turns the machine on, and gets the rest of the people back somehow, or Thanos and his crew.
Brings the whole ship through that little teeny portal on that pad.
Well, they had the Pym particles. They'd gotten the Pym particles from Nebula, but like it seemed like that was a bit of a plot hole because the Pym particles were for one person to travel, and that's all they had.
Yeah,
but no, it could
or
take
one
a whole ship.
That we somehow know how to use.
Well, not even just one ship. It's like a whole armada in that one ship.
Well, maybe that what's his name? What's one of the children of the Thanos? Maybe he's a smart guy. He's replicated the Pym particle and made more of it. We'll say that.
Yeah, why not?
That's another movie.
Yeah.
Look at all these movies we're coming up with.
It's another Disney Plus show where it's just him just sciencing it up. And that's it.
So basically, the whole place. I mean, this is after. We have to back up further. This is after the Hulk puts on the gauntlet.
Yes.
That Iron Man makes and snaps and brings everybody back.
And we forgot to mention that Black Widow is dead at this time. Yeah,
but I didn't want to talk about that. It's too soon.
How did they know? How did they know where to go for the Soul Stone? I thought Gamora was the only one that knew.
Nebula knew.
Nebula knew. Okay.
Yeah, she had known. Gamora told her at some point because in the last movie.
Don't tell Nebula anything.
Yeah,
I know that's what I'm saying.
But her Wi-Fi is unsecure, man.
Yeah, her and it just had to be her and Hawkeye that go together, her and Clint, and so they fight on to each other about who's going to be the person that sacrifices.
And I would have thought I know they'd never met before, but I would have thought that Black Widow would have recognized Red Skull. So just from old pictures,
long
and
flowing cloak on. There's a lot of red face, demon looking people out there.
Yeah.
But so she ends up basically winning by losing. She attaches Clint, and then she falls. And that scene that shot that they show, the way they formed it, made it look like a picture, like a Black Widow out of the comics, to me, anyways.
Mm.
It made it look like she had the very striking red hair, even though that was blood and stuff. But like, to me, it was like a picture out of a comic. I'm sure it's not, but just the visual of her made it look like the comic book character to me. You didn't think that, so I guess I'm wrong.
No, I was just going, oh, she did.
I know she's dead, and it was very heartbreaking. But the way they did it was very beautiful. Like,
Yeah. She
Then-
wasn't squished.
Then Clint wakes up in the kiddie pool.
Like, the Soul Stone kiddie pool.
How does he get out of that place? Like,
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not even sure where that is. It's like he wakes up like after a night of
It's
binge
like at the
drinking or something.
bottom
Like,
of
oh
the
my
mountain.
god.
Yeah, I thought he was going to do the same thing they did with Thanos. Like, Thanos wakes up, like, kind of within the Soul Stone and sees a young Gamora.
yeah.
I thought he was going to wake up and see, like, Black Widow again and then, like, snap awake. But no, he was just in the pool.
Nope, she's gone. Poor Black Widow. But
Where
she's got a movie coming out. They're probably going to do something like, I don't know. Either the movie's going to be in the past and be an origin story,
Yes.
or it's going to be like the Search for Spock. I forget which Star Trek movie that is.
Star Trek 3.
Star Trek 3, yeah. Sorry, it's going to be like the Search for Spock, and you're going to have Banner and Clint go to find her and into the Soul Realm. And
Well, I read
rescue
something
her.
else. Somebody was saying that if they do Adam Warlock in Guardians 3, I guess in the comics he was bearer of the Soul Stone and could go
Yes.
inside of the Soul Stone. So
Yeah.
that might be how we get main timeline Gamora back, because weird timeline Gamora, I guess, is still in our timeline, but it's like, really? Are they going to spend an entire movie with, no, Gamora, you love me. No, I don't. You're terrible. I mean, it's just going to be weird between her and Quill, and I don't know.
But it was either him or the tree, so.
I like the rabbit. Rabbit gets me.
I love that when they're in the past and Rocket is running from all the Asgardians, someone yells out, "Get the rabbit!"
Yeah. There's so many just funny lines in this movie.
Yeah.
Like when she meets Quill and when he comes back and she kicks him and then kicks him again. It's like, you didn't get it the first time, but you got him both the second time. So funny. So basically, yeah. Gamora comes back, the old Gamora, 2014 Gamora. Which everything's weird now, because now all Marvel movies are going to be at least 5 years in the future. Did you get that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
They've
yeah,
been
everybody
sort
that
of
came
matching
back,
up with our timeline, but now, or our years, but now it's going to be 5 years ahead of us.
yeah,
I still
everybody
feel
that
like.
came back-
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so everybody that came back that was snapped away didn't age. They came back
Yeah.
at a regular age. Everybody else is 5 years older.
I'm still thinking. I think Spider-Man: Far From Home is going to be pre-Infinity War.
Now they
I don't think so.
one of the directors said basically, like, yeah, he's going back. Like, when you see him see Ned again, like, Ned was also like snapped away. He was vanished.
Oh
So-
yeah, no, that I get, but
so,
I'm just wondering if that movie is going to be like at the end of Far From Home is going to be the beginning of Infinity War, like them on the bus.
No, but I don't think it is, because like you see like Pepper. Well, you don't see Pepper, but you see the bodyguard, John Favreau's character.
Yeah.
Happy, and he's like, "You're all alone this time. There's no one help you,"
Stark.
meaning that like Stark's dead more than likely.
Yeah.
And he's kind of on his own because.
Wait, Stark died?
Ah!
Sorry.
Yeah, so the battle the coolest shot. So that basically, Dad bought Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America go to face off against Thanos, who's just sitting there, basically waiting for the stones to be brought to him. Lazy bum. So they come, and a cool battle ensues, and Thor gets knocked down, and then we hear the, and then boom, Thanos gets knocked down with the hammer.
Mjolnir.
Yeah, Mjolnir. I was going to say it.
Meow meow.
Meow meow. And we're all like, oh, Beta Ray's here. No, we weren't like that.
No.
That would have been funny if they panned over and it was Beta Ray Bill, and everybody in the audience would probably be like, who? What?
Who the heck is that?
Why does this guy have a horse face?
Yeah, what's going on here? But it pans around, and Captain America has wielded the hammer that we saw a glimpse of. He shook it. He made it move. But now he's worthy. And the theory that he's worthy now is that then he was holding on to, he knew who killed Stark's parents, that Bucky did it, and he wasn't worthy because he's holding on to this dark secret. And now he's not. He's worthy to wield it. And the battle just keeps getting crazier and crazier.
Oh man, I know. The whole thing was just nuts.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just nuts. And I was holding my breath because there was so many moments where I was waiting for. I was like, "This is it. Steve's gonna bite it."
Yep.
You know, the shield's been broken in a couple places, and he's on the ground, and he's not getting up real fast. And and Thanos is, got his big, blade arm thing. And I was like, "Oh my god, he's gonna bite it. He's gonna die."
Yeah.
And then the portals start opening.
On your left. That was great
yes.
that they used that line.
I love that.
On your
He
left.
says, "Not today."
Right.
Zurg.
Oh, that's different movies.
Not today, Zurg.
Yep, on your left, and then Falcon and the rest of the gang come through the portals that Doctor Strange and everybody creates.
Everybody comes through.
Everybody.
Pepper comes through. She's got her own suit.
All of Wakanda, I think the whole country of Wakanda comes through.
The whole nation of Wakanda comes through.
Yeah.
With all their ships.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I was screaming in the theater. And which again gave permission for other people to scream out, which is good. I was sitting by a random stranger. They probably thought I was like the weirdest person. And so the battle just keeps going and going, and then Captain Marvel comes back again.
Yeah,
Blast through a
finally
big
shows
ship.
up. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's in this movie.
Yeah, she actually is coming back. Yeah,
And she, has a one-on-one with Thanos, and you think that's how it's pretty much going to end, but it doesn't. He gets knocked away, we said earlier, and Tony goes over and does something to Thanos. Thanos knocks him away, and Thanos gets ready to snap, and he says, "I am inevitable." He snaps his fingers, and nothing happens. And then Iron Man turns his hand around, and he goes, I am Iron Man," or something like that. But I am Iron Man. Which, that line was not in the script.
I saw that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Nice.
done in the editing rooms. One of the editors says, "Hey, why don't you just bring it full circle?" And the directors were like, "Oh crap, let's do that."
Yeah. Originally he said nothing. Like
Yeah.
he didn't say anything. He just snapped, and that was it. And they're like, "No, Stark's a talker. He'd say something." And they're like talking with the editor, going back and forth, trying to figure something out. And they're like, "Okay, let's go record that."
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was cool. I mean, that was one of the coolest lines of the movie, and it brought Iron Man full circle. So I was surprised that was not even in it.
One thing I was kind of hoping for that they didn't do, I wanted Hulk to have a round 2 with Thanos.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been cool. He had his arm all in a sling and whatnot. And Hulk can't fight.
Yeah.
But I was kind of hoping for that.
Yeah. Oh well. Maybe next time. In one of those alternate timelines.
One of those alternate timelines.
Yeah, because did he really fight at all in the movie?
No,
No.
that was the thing.
He was
No.
a smart Hulk.
He was just,
Yeah.
handing out tacos and signing autographs.
I'm guessing it probably in the background somewhere you may have seen him fighting or something. But yeah, he didn't really have like a.
Hold on, I'll go watch it again and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
I mean, I like that they sort of centered a bit more on like the main Avengers, which that was another thing with Captain Marvel. It didn't bother me too much because she's one of the new Avengers, and so it's their last hurrah. Kind of focusing on the core 6 or so of them was kind of cool. But yeah, I kind of felt like, where's Hulk? I mean, yeah, you're smart, you're doing smart stuff, but I want to see you smash some stuff.
Yeah. And then there's the one scene, which is going to make me sound like a jerk by saying this, but I was very confused about it. All the women somehow on this large, huge battlefield, where thousands and thousands are fighting, find each other and come together to do a little scene.
We're going to do this.
And I get it and stuff, but I'm just like, how did they find each other? Like, did somebody say, "Hey, ladies," and then they all just sort of gathered up, or like, I don't understand.
It's like a concert when you're like, want to hear the ladies out there, and they're like, "Yeah."
I liked it. I thought it was cool seeing them all together.
Cool. Yeah, it looked cool.
Yeah,
but I was sitting there going,
cool.
how do they find each other?
Yeah. All right, now all the characters that are wearing armor, everybody get together.
Yeah, it's like picture day. But, it was a cool scene, and I did a yes. But I was just later. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah. They did something similar but different in Infinity War. It wasn't quite as obvious when all the women were sort of fighting, and they were battling with one of Thanos' children.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whatever her name is, but that was sort of like when Black Widow and
Okoye and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. The three of them were sort of taking her on, so that was sort of like an all-female hero sort of moment there.
Which again, I liked it. I thought it was cool, but it was just sort of like, that's a huge battlefield. I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, all the core heroes were all kind of fighting in this one area,
Yeah.
Let the Wakanda army, they'll
the
fight
cameras
those guys over there.
But it was like all the females. It's like, if you're a female,
Yeah.
we need you over here now.
We're taking the picture now.
Yeah, take the big
Get over here.
Who were they fighting? I don't even remember.
They were trying to get the gauntlets to the van.
Okay, that's right.
We're gonna
And
do this.
Spider-Man was like, I don't know how you're going to get through all that. And you're like, this is how. And all the women showed up.
I like the scene with Scarlet Witch, with Wanda when she confronts Thanos.
Oh
Yeah.
And he's like, "Who are you?" or something like that, and she's like,
Right.
"You're gonna find out."
She
great.
messed him up.
Oh,
bad.
Yeah.
He was like, "Bring the red rain."
Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of the most powerful characters. I mean, so that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene.
So no Vision. There was no Vision in the film.
There was
at
no
all.
Well, Shuri had disappeared, so
And I'm thinking she's going to fix him.
But we know that
Yeah.
she figured out a way to fix him without the stone, so he's probably
Yeah,
going to be back.
I think her mind is or his mind is downloaded into a Wakanda computer.
I'll make him a robot body.
He'll look like the first version of Ultron.
I am Vision.
it's either going to be
it.
that, or they did a thing in the comics where Wanda goes crazy and brings a character back to life. She's done it before. She did it with Hawkeye. And also in the comics, she made up her own family with Vision. Like, she made children out of nothing. And she went crazy.
Didn't you also tell me that? Didn't you also tell me that she wiped out the Avengers with a thought?
She wiped out all the mutants, or at least most of them.
Okay.
There's a no more mutant storyline where she goes no more mutants, and pretty much the whole mutant population, all their powers goes away. She's made an alternate timeline where basically Magneto wins, and it's called Age of X or something like that, or Agent Magneto. I don't know.
Maybe that's how they'll quickly fold the X-Men into the MCU. One will say, "We need mutants."
There they are.
I can say that word now.
I still wanted to hide Deadpool somewhere in that big battle scene, just like
Oh, that would have been great.
fighting somewhere. That would have been so funny, but yeah, I know why they didn't. Howard the Duck was in there, so
Poor Ryan Reynolds. He wants to do a movie with Hugh Jackman, but no more Logan. And now he's finally in the Marvel universe, and there's no more Iron Man or Captain America. Won't get to hang out with them either now.
At least not in this timeline.
Yeah.
But there's still Spider-Man he can hang out with.
Yeah, he can.
Which
there's supposed to be that What If series on that Marvel What If series, so that'll be interesting if they back up the money truck to certain actors to do a What If Tony didn't die?
But it's animated, so it would just be their voice.
Oh, it's animated?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
animation's terrible. Nobody likes that.
No.
Everybody hates animation.
No, it would just be cool to see the actors, but so yeah, Spider-Man is one of the first people to come to Tony's aid when he falls after he snaps. He's like, "We did it, Mr. Stark. We did it."
Which obviously created another timeline because they killed past Thanos. So they couldn't put him back in place.
and they killed past Nebula. So
they they brought his ashes back and just stuffed him. Just got to put him back here. Here's a jar.
It's like Weekend at Bernie's or something. Yeah. They just kind of like pile it up and put his armor back on him.
Sweep that on the rug. No one will notice.
Yeah. But hey, we put the stones back, okay? So it doesn't matter how many alternate timelines we made.
The stones are back.
The stones are back.
So, like, back it up. So, Hawkeye has the gauntlet running through the underground, when the explosion happens. And then Nebula gets it, the bad Nebula. And then the good Nebula and Gamora appear. I guess they just didn't want to sacrifice themselves, because couldn't they have just put it on there and been like, let's just get rid of all the bad guys?
As powerful as Captain Marvel is, she could have done it. Because if Hulk could do it and snap and bring everybody back, I think Captain Marvel could have snapped, took out the army, and survived.
I think gloves are her kryptonite. She can't wear gloves.
No. I mean, like, because they had it in their hand.
Yeah.
And if Tony could do it, they could do it. They would just die, but.
But you could also say that he's got the armor on, which might have kept him from getting vaporized like immediately. That could have helped to dampen some of the radiation.
I'm just saying that I don't think any of the other people wanted to sacrifice themselves, so they're just like,
but
probably not.
But they were supposed to be taking it so they could put the stones back. So it wasn't that they knew that was what was going to happen.
Well, they knew that was going to happen because the whole place had collapsed because all the bad guys are surrounding them.
Yeah, the plan was,
but they were never going to snap. That was just to get rid of it, not just do a snap. That was he was doing that as immediate reaction to, this is my only choice here, and Doctor Strange is like, like not telling him, but he told him, this is it. This is the timeline, so you have to do this.
I can just see Gamora being like, oh crap, I better like fix this. This is the only way. Because she knew about the stones.
I thought was Tony, because Iron Man 3 showed that the real Iron Man 3.
There was a lot of callbacks.
That Tony can just like hold out his hand and say like, "Hey, piece of armor, come to me."
Yeah.
And all during that battle, I was thinking like, you didn't put like any jets on that little gauntlet that you could just have it come to you. You gotta. Really, nothing.
This is different armor. That was his summoning armor. This is his magical mini nanotech armor.
Anyway,
it's completely different.
So Tony sadly dies, but I thought it was a good way. I thought this was pretty much a perfect way to kill a main character, unlike another movie that the four of us have talked about before. We won't mention the name of it.
The last Iron Man.
But I thought the way they did this was beautiful and how it was full circle. I thought they did a good job, and then having the funeral with basically characters from all throughout the saga are there,
including Iron Man 3.
Plus the random kid from Iron Man 3 that nobody remembered.
But I mean, could he be the next
Iron Lad?
Iron Lad.
Iron Lad.
Could he be Iron Lad? And then could
No.
Scott Lang's daughter become Stature?
Well,
right?
She's Stature. Yeah, they can now that they've jumped forward, they can make in the next Ant-Man movie, they can make her Stature. But that kid was kind of just made up for the movie. I don't want them to do anything with him.
Yeah. Agreed. Plus it was from Iron Man 3, and we don't speak of Iron Man 3.
Well, they did it for a reason.
Terrible.
Yeah, he was there for a reason.
I mean, there's got to be a reason.
Spoke of Thor 2 in the movie.
It was fan pandering for people that liked Iron Man 3.
Maybe that's what we hear clanging at the end is the Iron Lad forming his armor.
Yeah, I hope
Or
not.
Could be Pepper, right? She could be getting her stuff together.
Yeah.
Or
I was kind of
Morgan,
on
the little girl, could be the new.
thing. Yeah, because it's like, I mean, we all know. I mean, like with War Machine and whatnot, it's like anybody can put on the armor and be able to use it immediately. I'm surprised Morgan doesn't have like a little play at home Iron Man outfit that she puts on.
Pepper had it in Iron Man 3, so she knew how to control the armor. Already.
Is it just an innate ability? I mean, if I put it on right now, could I fly around and shoot things?
Yes. Everybody.
I've got one. I do it all on the weekends. Just on the weekends, though.
Remember the first one when he had to train? No more training. No more training.
Yeah. She's had time since Iron Man 3 to train, so.
She's smarter than him.
There was a lot of callbacks to Iron Man 3 in this movie. Like, a lot. I think they just wanted to say, suck it. This movie exists. Deal with it.
But still no callbacks to Incredible Hulk.
No, there's not going to be. All right, so that's pretty much the movie. Then we end up, Captain America. We already talked about that. So let's get to this since Greg Jones, our friend, our listener, took the time to write us an email with his thoughts. I thought we would share some of those because we asked on social media, let us know your thoughts. We'd love to talk about them. Greg was the only guy. Loyal listener.
Everyone else is watching the movie again.
Yeah. He asked the question. We pretty much answered it. What did you expect the movie to be like? Did you get a lot more or a lot less of some characters than you expected? I pretty much thought it was going to be the main Avengers.
I was surprised. I mean, the first Infinity War had a lot of Guardians in it, which kind of surprised me. And then there was not. I mean, I think Drax and Mantis each had one line, and that was like it. Yeah. Which I was like, wow, that's. Which I felt like, they're going to try to focus more on the main cast because this is their swan song and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So it didn't really bother me too much, but it was a little surprising.
Yeah, when that happened with like the one-liners from those characters, I'm sitting there going, I wonder how much they got paid for that.
Yeah, I know, right? A lot. Well, my daughter thought it would have been funny to have some banter between Drax and Thor. Like Pirate Angel, what has happened to you?
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
You look like Quill.
He said, I thought Endgame had the same tone as Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows movies. Part 1 was slow and depressing. Part 2 was all fighting. Okay.
I could see that.
I could see that. Yeah. One thing I was totally wrong about was with Iron Man. I thought it would take longer for him to get back to Earth. And at the end, I love that somehow Doctor Strange knew to get the Wasp when rounding up all the heroes. I better go get the Wasp.
She wasn't on the poster, but I know she's out there somewhere.
He said, this may be too heavy. I thought about Ant-Man and his daughter. They are together, but he missed 5 years of her life. What is the family dynamic going to be like?
Oh gosh.
You don't know me.
Find out in Ant-Man 3.
Yeah.
Hey, I built you a fort again. I don't do forts
Yeah.
anymore, Dad.
That's 5 years ago.
I started to say something bad, but this is a family. I do other stuff. And then we sort of talked about this. And is Loki alive in an alternate timeline, or do you think we'll see him in the prime timeline in the future movies? I need you to break down the time travel rules of Die Hard. That was a funny scene. He's like, yeah, I like Die Hard. He's like, no, that's not time travel.
Oh, have a few laughs.
Yeah, so Loki I think is out there somewhere.
Unless, like in Steve's going back in time, he went and wrangled Loki somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, 'cause that was one thing that I read that, and it's all just guessing. If by putting the Infinity Stones back, does that then negate any alternate timelines that were created?
It could, I guess, depending on when you put them back and everything. It might have, yeah.
Except for the timeline that Steve created by marrying Peggy Carter.
Yes.
Right. Well, and the thing is, I mean, I'd have to go back and like rewatch, because I mean they had dialogue when Steve was going to go that he was going to take as long as it took to put the stones back, and they were like, okay, well, for us it's only going to be 5 seconds, so he could have gone back, put all the stones back except for the time turner, the time stone, lived his whole life, and then been like, okay, put that stone back, and then poof, he comes back, or you know what I mean? I'm not sure if he had to necessarily put them all back immediately, pop, 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 and then go back and then marry Peggy. But yeah, I mean, it's time travel. It's messy. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
No.
But the other thing with Loki too is that, I mean, he went through and he disappeared through a portal, but I mean, or through a little poofy.
Yeah.
But I mean, for all we know, 5 minutes later, because I mean they were looking for him because Steve thought he found him, when he ran into himself. They might have caught up with him 10 minutes later or something like that, trying to get back to Asgard, and Loki, you trickster, come here.
Yeah, I was almost wondering if Steve hunted him down, took him back to the point where he knocked himself out, put Loki in his place, woke up his past self Steve, and left. And his past self Steve was like, "Oh, I took down Loki."
I'm pretty sure that they just left that as an opening so they can bring Loki back whenever they want to for his TV show. And
I think that's another movie.
I think that's what they did.
Hunting Loki on Disney Plus.
I think they set all this up with the timeline stuff so they can make more movies. Whenever they want to. They could just be like, oh, you remember that thing that happened in Endgame? Now we've got this movie for you to give us all your money.
Well, the other thing too, if you think about it, with Doctor Strange and Infinity War, when he's doing his crazy seeing all the possible futures, it's like, well, are you seeing all the possible futures, or are you seeing every single alternate reality that there is? If you consider that every decision that you make, if you do this or you do this, there's a theory that everything is sort of predetermined and whatnot, and you're just following a certain path. But there's also the opposite path. And that exists as a series of choices and consequences as well. And all of those timelines kind of ride alongside each other. So maybe that's what Strange was doing. Maybe he was looking at all of the possible timelines out there to figure out, well, if things continue on the course that they're on, we are on course to have the time stream that actually defeats Thanos.
He said, didn't he say he saw 14,602 different
outcomes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if he can sit through that and not go to the bathroom,
I think I saw a puddle under him when he was hovering there. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's got good control.
There's a slight smell in the air.
Is that Titan or is that Doctor Strange? God.
But anyways, I thought the movie was fantastic. To me personally, and this is gonna, how dare you say that? Especially the room I'm sitting in right now, full of Star Wars stuff. for me personally, right now, until we see what happens in December, the MCU has surpassed Star Wars in the complete the completeness of their saga, how they did it.
I loved it 3,000.
Yeah. That was going to be my ending line right when we got off the air. Now I'm going to go in there and I'm going to have to edit your voice out saying that.
Oh.
Well, you do that most of the time.
No, but I thought just how they completed this saga was pretty much perfect.
Yeah. Not to dogpile on Star Wars, but I had been thinking for a while that Harry Potter, I thought, was a much stronger sort of collection of storytelling films. And I think MCU is kind of right up there too.
Yeah.
You know?
I still love Star Wars. The original trilogy. I like the rest of them. I mean, I love it. But I just the way they took 22 movies. I mean, 22 movies.
It's ridiculous when you think about it, right? 22
Wow.
in 11 years? I mean, that's just crazy.
And they all fit together like a puzzle. It's not like, let's just make a bunch of movies about superheroes. It was like they thought it all through.
And some of the pieces aren't perfect, Iron Man 3.
No.
But they still work, you know, and there's not stuff in there that completely, you know, angers you, midichlorians.
There's not stuff in there that's like, well, we're going on this path, but this director chose that he wanted to go on this path.
That way.
You know?
Yeah.
They all thought along. They all sort of knew what was coming and what was going and how to get there, and it just worked together.
Except, in Iron Man 3, when they took the arc reactor out of his chest, I was so angry. It was like, you cut me in the movie, and at the end of the movie, you put lemon juice in my cut, taking the arc reactor out of his chest. What are you doing?
But like Kevin Smith said, you know, the thing that they did right, he said, I don't want to bash on other movies, and I know what he was talking about. He goes, the thing that they did right was fan service. They said, we're giving it back to your fans. And he basically said, if you're going to make a sequel to any movie, the sequel on should have fan service. That should be your main thing. And they did that in this movie. There were so many callbacks to past movies. There were so many, you know, little moments that reminded you of something from the past. That it was just perfect.
I felt like they did it in a clever way, though, too. It wasn't like, you know, hey, let's Back to the Future to this and go back into, you know, and you know, oh, well, now the reason why they got Loki in the first Avengers was because Future Stark came in and knocked him out or something like that. It was, I mean, it made perfect sense. Yeah, all three stones were there, you know. That would be the perfect time to go back and try to steal them. And then having all those characters kind of come back and see things from different points of view. Now having watched 22 movies and having all the knowledge that we have. I mean, it was fun, but I felt like it was fun in a way that was surprising, all the time. Where you're like, oh my gosh, that's, you know, it's Hank Pym's original Ant-Man helmet. That's amazing. And, you know, it was fun and enjoyable to watch.
There were so many times that I did the Captain America in my head. I understood that reference.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
The thing that brought it home to me that this was basically about near perfection for a saga is that my wife, who for years just watched these geeky movies because I wanted to, last night she said, hey, you know, this sort of, it changed everything, and I want to go back and watch all 22. Like she said, I get it now. She said before, before it was just geeky movies that I put up with, but she goes, I get it now. Like, I get it, and I understand why you love these so much, because I'm starting to love these, and I want to go back. It's like, how can we do that? And
did you start to weep?
I know. I was like, oh. I was like, well,
we just have to get Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, well, in November, Disney Plus should have them all, so we can just. They are going to sell a box set, but I'm like, why buy the box set? Watch it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, have your own marathon.
Yeah, but that was like, I was like, oh, this was, you know, it just showed that the way they did things applied to more than just the 40-year-old geek that grew up with superheroes and stuff, you know? that this shows how good of a movie they made. To me, anyways. Right?
Agreed.
Agreed? I mean, I don't know how, your wife felt about it, but that's how she felt about it. And I was like, oh, that's really cool because it just shows how well of a job they did with the art.
Well, and the thing, I mean, my wife and my kids, I mean, we all want to go see it again, and it's like another 3-hour another 3-hour commitment, which we were all just like, oh man, 3 hours, that's going to be rough. I told Chris this. I think I texted him when he was getting ready to go. I could have gone another hour. I mean, when the final battle was was gearing up and they were coming through the portals, and I was like, oh man, I think this is kind of the end. I think they're going to have the big fight and it's going to be over. Is it going to be over? I don't want it to be over.
Yeah.
I want to see more. Wait, no, Thanos, get up. Come on.
You can do it.
You're okay. Shake it off. Shake it off.
Got another round in you.
No, don't shake, because then you'll just.
You're just a little dusty.
But yeah. If you guys don't have anything else, I think that's a good way to end it there. Do you want to clang on a piece of metal and then just... Yeah, I can.
Clang, clang, clang.
Clang. Clang.
I think they ended the saga perfectly, and I'll be interested to see where they go from here with Phase 4. It's sad that we don't have Captain America and we don't have Iron Man and we'll still have Black Widow some way anymore, but I understand why they did it, and it made sense. But we will probably still have, if he wants to do it, we'll probably still have Tony Stark in some form in the future because of how they sort of ended it after his, funeral with the holographic projection. He could
little cameos and stuff.
Yeah, he could come back in sort of that form.
Yeah, I saw a theory that maybe he'd be the next Jarvis.
Yeah.
It's just like his voiceover.
Yeah.
Or robot.
Well, the thing is, if they wanted to make another Avengers movie, right now, I mean, you still have almost a dozen characters that you can work with, and you still got Hawkeye and Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, the Hulk, Ant-Man, Wasp, Black Panther. Who am I forgetting? Spider-Man, maybe War Machine. I mean, you still have a bigger crew than the very first Avengers film. If they
They will down the road, but I think they're focusing on the sort of, if you want to call them standalones, but they're not really standalones. I'm guessing Thor is going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Possibility,
probably
as Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a comic, right? It's a comic book.
Yeah, it's a comic book. It's Thor's sister runs it.
Yeah,
not Ella. Another.
He'll get his 6-pack back.
They're supposed to be making an announcement of Phase 4 after Spider-Man opens this summer. They don't want to make an announcement until after that comes out. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Yeah. Of course, I think Black Widow starts shooting in the fall. So
yeah.
So we know some stuff that's coming, and we'll talk about that on another podcast. But for Endgame, this has been we've spent almost 2 hours on it, on a 3-hour movie. Yeah. It's going to be another long episode. So
I got to pee.
If you're still listening, thank you for staying with us. Hopefully you had a fun time revisiting Endgame with us. See you next time on We love you 3000.